All right, week 9 time. Time for some November football. We've already got the November rain here. Let's talk about the week 8 games. The best games, I'd say the best was Jets and Patriots. I don't think it was one anyone expected to be the best. But Brissett stepped up and the Patriots did well and actually got the win. And it was still a pretty good game even by the Jets, but it was definitely a fun one to watch. Second, though, I'd say Falcons and Buccaneers. Nice rematch. Even without Godwin and Evans, the Buccaneers played well. Definitely a good performance by both teams. Fun game to watch. Cardinals and Dolphins was good, although you feel bad for the Dolphins when Tua comes back and they still couldn't win. But the Cardinals are definitely looking a lot better. And the Packers and Jaguars, very close game. Another one you kind of feel bad for the Jaguars, given how few wins they've got. But it was a good performance by both teams and fun to watch. Ravens and Browns. The Browns actually played well and got the win as I predicted they would. That I thought this offense would be kind of motivated to get more progress than they've been doing with Watson, and definitely stepped up and even got a win. Colts and Texans was definitely a good one. I didn't realize that it was for the division, that Colts would have held on to the division if they got it, but the Texans did win, so they got a solid hold on the division now. Vikings-Rams, Thursday night game actually wasn't terrible. The Rams stepped up and won it. Puka and Cooper Kupp being back definitely is going to help that team out. And Chiefs-Raiders actually was pretty close. The Raiders played pretty well. Their defense was good. And Minshew actually stepped up at the position. I think he threw only one interception at the end of the game. It was definitely a fun one. The bad games to avoid, though, Bears and Commanders, definitely worth watching because of the ending. But if we're talking the whole game, it was definitely kind of a disappointment. Nothing really happening for 3 quarters. But again, the ending was probably the best ending to a game we've had in a while. Then Eagles-Bengals, it was a good game in the first half, but then the Eagles broke away with it, and it just was not fun to watch after that. Saints and Chargers, kind of the same thing. It was real close. Kind of low scoring, though, until the second half, and then the Chargers just blew them out of the water. Cowboys-49ers, also a close game in the first half, but by the second game, the Cowboys' defense collapsed, and the Niners walked all over them. The worst games, though, we have Panthers-Broncos. The Panthers started pretty nice and ended the game pretty good, but it was definitely one-sided for the bulk of the game, aside from the beginning and end. Giants and Steelers. It was kind of a decent. It was relatively close, but again, the Steelers ran away with it near the end. The Giants were always kind of hanging out in there. There was a one-possession game, but not the most exciting game to watch. The worst games, though, definitely Titans and Lions. It was just one side. The Titans tried in the first quarter, but like late in the second quarter, the Lions took over and the Titans did nothing second half. And Bills and Seahawks, definitely the worst game of the week. The Seahawks couldn't do anything. They tried in the second half, but the Bills' offense just ran over them. Seahawks' run game was not there, and the Bills could just run all over them, do what they wanted. So let's rank the teams now. Number 1, I'm going to put the Lions. Definitely a dominant showing from them. I think they deserve to be back at the number 1 spot. But I'm going to throw the Eagles at number 2. Definitely a good victory, decisive win for them. And we'll see how they do in the weeks ahead. But I haven't been too high on the Eagles. I kind of think that after this performance, they're definitely looking pretty set for the rest of the season. Number 3, I got the Chargers, and 4, I got the Broncos. 2 teams that I'm curious to see how they'll end up in the rest of the season, given that the Chiefs have quite a win advantage over them. But both teams are playing well, and I'm curious to see how well they do for the rest of the season. Number 5, the Commanders, and 6, the Steelers. 2 teams that got the wins, but they were pretty close. The Commanders didn't do much in their game until the end and had to rely on a Hail Mary to win it. And the Steelers kept the Giants around even in the fourth. Chiefs at 7 and Bills at 8. 2 teams that have kind of been hanging out in that spot for a while now. At least they're consistent. And consistency is something to be feared. I could see them going higher in the rankings if they keep playing this steady, solid, good game football that they've been doing. Number 9, we got the Rams. Maybe too high on them, but I'm thinking with Puka and Cooper Kupp coming back, that this is a good place to put them. I know the win-loss total isn't quite there. What are they, like 3-5 now, 3-4? But I expect them to be a force to be reckoned with now. That offense is clicking. If they lose a game, I think it'll be that defense that lets them down. Number 10, I got the Buccaneers. They did lose to the Falcons twice now, so they don't hold a tiebreaker over the division. But I still want to put them pretty high, given that they didn't have Evans or Godwin and still put up, 26 points. So I'm curious to see if they'll go up or down in the rankings as the weeks go ahead. I'm not sure how long Evans or Godwin will be out for, but I think they still deserve to be in the top 10. And 11, I got the Ravens. Had to drop me out of the top 10 after a close loss to the Browns, but I wouldn't be surprised if this team bounces back in the weeks ahead. 12, I got the Texans. They've been pretty solid here. 13, the Bears. Got to drop them a little bit. I know they lost on a Hail Mary, but still for the rest of that game, they didn't do nothing until the fourth quarter. Number 14, the Packers. They've been very solid and consistent. 15, the Falcons. I'm hesitant to put them high, given that they do hold the record over the Bucs now. They have a good win record. But the fact that they still lost that badly to the Seahawks a couple of weeks ago makes me a little hesitant to stick them higher. But for now, I feel like 15, since I don't know how high or low to put them, seems like a solid placement. We'll see what they do in the weeks ahead. 16, I got the Cardinals. Definitely a little higher on them. They're at 4-4 now. Definitely bounced back the last couple of weeks and won some close games. So I'm curious to see how much higher they can get. 17, the 49ers. And 18, the Vikings, two teams that have been a little disappointing. With the Niners, I'm not sure if they'll get much better with CMC back, because they've had a good run game already with Mason and Isaac Rendo. So I feel like there's other issues this team is facing, whereas with the Rams, Cooper Kupp and Puka coming back are going to be, I think, game changers. CMC coming back, it'll help them, but I don't see it really changing anything. And with the Vikings, they've definitely just been falling in the rankings every week. I'm curious to see when they'll get a bounce back. But for now, they've been a little disappointing. 19, the Jaguars. Still a good team, but the wins just aren't there. 20, the Browns. Bump them up a little bit after a good win over the Ravens. I can't really see them getting much higher than this. But at least for now, I got to give them some credit for a good win. 21, the Seahawks. Got to drop them. I know I go back and forth on the Seahawks. They look great one week and destroy the Falcons, and then they look terrible the next week and lose to either the Giants or the Bills. And I did expect the Bills to win it, but not in the dominant fashion that they did. At 22, I got the Colts. They do have a 4-4 decent record, though, so at least you got that going for you. But for now, they've been just kind of a lukewarm team. 23, the Dolphins. A bit disappointing that with Tua coming back, they still couldn't get the win. But I'm curious to see how their offense does in the weeks ahead. 24, the Patriots, going to bump them up a bit after a good win against the Jets. Their offense seems to be clicking more than it did in the earlier weeks. At 25, the Raiders. I like Minshew over AOC right now, but I think that they're still just not quite a dominant team to be afraid of. 26, the Bengals. Got to drop them after that tough loss to the Eagles. They stayed it in the first half, but the way they looked in that second half, it makes me concerned to put them higher than this. And the fact that they've already got as many losses as they do, you're a little worried now if you're a Bengals fan. 27, the Cowboys. Disappointing performance against the Niners. I don't know why I picked them to win that game. 28, the Jets. It was close, but their offense still isn't ticking. 29, the Saints. They've been on the decline every week as well. 30, the Panthers. I know that they're technically last with only one win, but they looked like Bryce Young had one of his best games in a while. Definitely the best game this season. And I'm curious to see if they can do anything for the rest of the season. And the good news is, if not, at least you got your number 1 pick this year. 31, the Giants, keeping them below the Panthers, even though they got an extra win. I just don't think this team is good. But let's put a new team on bottom. I'm going to put the Titans. They just got destroyed by Detroit. It seems like it doesn't matter if it's Rudolph or Levis in. They're not clicking right now. Maybe they can go up a little in the rankings, but for now, after that performance, they're definitely going in last place. All right, so for the games this week, Texans and Jets on Halloween. I'm looking forward to that one. I'm actually going to pick the Jets. I think the memes about Aaron Rodgers being a bad man, he's going to be the boogeyman and come in and ruin the Texans' day on Halloween. The Texans' offense has been kind of struggling these last couple of weeks, so I'm curious how they'll do against that Jets defense. Cowboys and Falcons, I'm going to pick the upset and have the Cowboys win this one. Broncos, Ravens. I think the Ravens are the better team, even though they have a tied record, so I'm expecting the Ravens to win this one, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Broncos can actually pull it off. Dolphins, Bills, I'm actually going to go with the upset here too and pick the Dolphins. I think they're just hungry for a win and definitely looking to get back in the game a bit. Saints and Panthers, I'm going to pick the Panthers on this one. I think that the way they looked against Denver actually kind of gives me some hope, and the Saints just haven't quite been clicking. I don't know if Derek Carr will be back or not either, but I would be not surprised to see the Panthers win, so I'm actually going to pick them. Raiders, Bengals, I think the Bengals will win this one, even though the Raiders have been doing decent and the Bengals have been going down. I think the Bengals can pull this one out. Chargers and Browns, I will pick the Chargers. I think the Browns had a nice victory over the Ravens, but I don't think they can beat both Harbaughs. I think this one's the Chargers to win it. Commanders, Giants, even though the Commanders are a better team, I'm kind of feeling the Giants win this one. That the Commanders' offense definitely struggled against Chicago, and I want to see the Giants just get angry and finally get another win. But of course, that would definitely be an upset. But I'm sticking with it. Patriots and Titans, I'm going to pick the Patriots on this one. They've owned the Titans for a while now, and even though both teams are completely different this year, I'm going to say the Patriots still hold on to their dominance in this matchup. Bears and Cardinals, I think the Bears are the better team, but I'm actually going to pick the Cardinals. They've been getting better every week, and the Bears looked real sluggish and slow offensively against Commanders, and the Commanders' defense hasn't been known to be that good, so I'm curious to see how they'll do. And it's in Arizona, so I'm going to pick the Cardinals. Jaguars, Eagles, I'm going to pick another upset win. I'm picking a lot of upsets this week, but I'm picking the Jaguars. I think the Eagles finally impressed me for once, but I don't see it happening on a week-to-week basis. And I think with how hungry the Jaguars are to get back in the game, they'll win this one. Lions, Packers, I'm going to pick the Lions. No upset for this game. I think the Lions are just the better team. The Packers are good, but I think the Lions might just be the best team in the league right now. I'm going to put them at number 1 this week, and they've always been in like the top 3 for the last 3 weeks now. Rams, Seahawks, I will pick the Seahawks, even though I think that would be called an upset given the Rams' offense clicked against the Vikings. But I think the Seahawks will be looking to bounce back. They seem to do this back and forth dance that I think will keep going. And I think they can destroy the Rams' defense. Colts, Vikings, I'm going to pick the Vikings. I think they need a good bounce back win after a couple losses. And the Colts, although being a decent team, and I wouldn't be shocked if they win, I don't think they're quite good enough offensively with how good Minnesota's defense has been. And the last game, Bucs and Chiefs, I'm going to pick the Buccaneers. I think that they could deliver the first loss for the Chiefs this year. The Buccaneers, of course, being the one team the Chiefs have lost to in the Super Bowl. I think it would be kind of funny for them to get this win here.